Adaptation. Adaptation is what we're trying to get in these athletes, these people we're training. You know, your clients, you want body to change in certain ways. That's what we call an adaptation, and that's what we're looking at, is how a stimulus or training produces that adaptation, that change in their bodies. This is important to understand. Adaptations typically take a little longer than we think. All right? All right. In my opinion, most people think they happen actually slower. So this is subjective, but I always felt that you get about 90 to 95% of adaptation you're going to get out of a set of exercises in about 21 to 28 days. So I always felt when you're dealing with a healthy athlete, if you're not shifting what you do significantly every month or so, every 3 or 4 weeks, then you're probably wasting time. You're probably just grinding on them when you actually are not progressing them in that way. So that's why if you look at the way I design training with healthy people, typically I'll have a month of stuff that kind of looks the same, and then the next month is going to look significantly different. All right? So, you know, training is like I-95. You know, if everybody's rolling at 70 miles an hour, you know, and you're in the flow of traffic, that's great. But if you come to a dead stop in the middle of it, you got a big problem. You know, and sometimes we like what we're doing and we get stuck on it, you know, but you got to move on. You got to move on. But coach, I really like what I'm doing. Tough. Got to move on anyway. You can always circle back, you know, you can always circle back. But generally speaking, we tend to drag things out a little bit too long. And the reason why is because we don't understand the nature of long-term adaptations, okay? So remember, adaptations are not complete when you finish training, okay? Let's assume that you had an athlete, a basketball player who was training in here, performance type of situation, and this kid wants to improve their vertical jump. All right, so you test them in their vertical jump. The first day they show up, you get a certain result. Then you train them. Train them for a month, 6 weeks, whatever the case may be. You test again. Will you see an improvement in the vertical jump? Probably so. Will it be significant? Maybe not. Maybe not. But the point is that the improvement in the vertical jump doesn't necessarily become present when you've completed that cycle of training. They might hit a huge PR in the vertical jump a month later, or 2 months later, or 3 months later, whatever the case may be. And that's what we have to understand. You see, I always say, you know, adaptations, whether it's rehab or performance, are like planting a tree. You know, if you want to plant a tree, you know, typically, let's say you have a seed. All right, you dig a hole, you put some fertilizer, you put the seed in the hole, you cover it with dirt, you put water, you're done. Nothing else to do, right? But do you have a tree yet? But you know you've done everything you need to do in order to get a tree. That's my point, is that sometimes we're overly repetitive in our training just because we don't see the adaptations right away. We think we might have failed. And I'm just trying to give you a vote of confidence. If you've done it, you feel like you've done it well, move on from it. The adaptations are on their way, they're coming. You know, I don't know, any of you work in school settings? In school settings, this happens all the time. You train somebody their freshman year. They come back their sophomore year and they're better their first day of the sophomore year than they were at any time in their freshman year. Why is that? It's not because of all the hard work they did in the summer. They didn't do anything in the summer. The reason is because what you did with them the freshman year is still producing fruit. Make sense? Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. And I'll tell you that